Welcome back to a Deeper Dig Conversation Series, episode 33. We're out here in beautiful Crissy Field. Jiayue, it's a pleasure to have you on. I'm very excited to, have this conversation, sit down and discuss more about your work.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm really excited to be here and be part of the interview or the chat, the conversation.
Absolutely. Very excited to have you on. So one of the things that I really want to address, first of all, is just how the importance of creativity really factors into, everyday life. And I feel like I don't really mention that as much, but when you really look at things from a creative perspective, one of the things that really goes into it is so much like the passion, the process, do it all. But of course, for you, I feel like everyone has like a distinct creative style. And of course, they have like their own distinct way of being creative. But for you, how would you describe yourself as a person outside of just the work you do? Like, who are you as a person?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting question because I don't get to think that a lot. But yeah, it's like just got me think that I feel like I'm a very quiet person and introverted. And I'm definitely like a home person. That's why I feel like I'm staying home a lot and just kind of like do my own thing. A lot of the time, that's where I got to have a lot of time drawing and then just like creating my world, kind of just like, yeah, hang out with my cat. And also, I think I'm a very emotional person. Like, but it's kind of like in a way that's like I'm not like very expressive or like emotional. Like it's not like I love to express my emotion a lot, but I feel like deep down I have a lot of like feelings about many things. That's why I feel like that plays a lot of important role in my creativity. It's like I'm just like transforming my emotion to like very like tiny things happen in life into my drawings. Yeah, that's about it. I feel like there's many things to talk about. I feel that's the things that I can think of right now.
Yeah. So for you, one of the main things you focus on is particularly with visual design, with graphic design, illustration. Where did that love begin? Like, what was that starting moment for you where you really fell in love with it?
Actually, I think it started with when I was really young, like maybe when I was a kid. So my parents just took me to different like kind of like classes for me to try out different things. Like I studied like playing piano or like dancing. But I think that the really clicked with me is like drawing. So I went to like a drawing class that the teacher that is like is a very passionate woman that she's like just like love teaching kids how to draw and stuff. Since then, I was just like going to her studio and learn how to different ways of drawing for like almost like 10 years. And then like it just like plays a huge part of my life. I love drawing like after school, and I was just like always on the paper and like trying out different tools. Yeah, I feel like it's just like natural for me to be like, oh, I wanted to do something that's art related when I grow up. Yeah, I think but I just studied design in my college because I kind of feel like design is more like art related, but it's like not fully just like fine art. I have like a debate on like, do I want to do fine art or like do I want to do graphic design or like some other like fashion design. While I was in high school, there's like a time that I need to decide if I want to do art or like it's like what do I want to do in college. So I chose graphic design or like communication design at that time. It's like I feel like design is very like depends on like the creativity, and there's a lot of like drawing elements to it, and it's really fun. It's like I can do a lot of things like actually like maybe it's like interacting with the people more, or like the way of design is like design thinking and stuff. It's also really interesting to me. So yeah.
And I feel like one of the things that's so interesting is like it's this sense of how like when we develop from childhood down to like early elementary school, we have like this sense of like curiosity and wonder. And I feel like as we get older, we start to really harness that. And I think like what's so rare about your work is like when I look at your work, one of the things that I'm able to capture from it is this sense of like youthful energy. Like, it captures elements of, nostalgia, I would say, and also this sense of like memory. And one of the things that I'm also curious about is like outside of, your work, do you get inspirations from anywhere else, like any other forms of art you get inspired by, or just in general? Like it could be from your cat, it could be from anyone. Like, do you get inspiration anywhere else?
Yeah, for sure. I do get a lot of inspiration from like the daily, just like observation. For example, like a flower on the grass, or like from the forest, or like any like experience that I'm, for example, having a like just like hang out with friend, or like if we talk about something that's interesting. And also, I feel a huge inspiration from for me is like, I think it's just like anything that it's like I'm really interested in, like about like being like the existence of myself, or like there's a lot of like emotion that's like kind of like I'm just like wondering like how do I like communicate those emotions into my artwork, and also just kind of like also looking at other people's work, or like other super talented artists is a huge inspiration to my artwork as well.
And another thing that I feel like also gives, at least it gives me inspiration, is like being from the Bay Area, and specifically being in San Francisco. Do you find that also incorporating some forms of inspiration for your work?
You mean just like San Francisco as
Yeah,
the
San Francisco as a
location?
whole. Yeah.
Yeah, because I just moved here from New York like 2.5 years ago, so I'm like kind of new to this space. But definitely like the landscape of the California, or like the just like the anything like the very interesting like cityscape of San Francisco is definitely a huge like kind of like I don't know. It's just like create my work, create my life in a way, like just kind of influence my different lifestyle, like kind of like just really love like how people live in here, like they are very like outdoorsy, and they are like just like a lot of like nature elements. I feel like that's yeah, somehow like also kind of like I got a lot of inspiration from it, like a lot of Bay Area artists,
Do
like
you
I met a lot of.
do you find like strong differences from New York compared to San Francisco? I feel like this is such like a common question, but I feel like everyone has like different interpretations of it. But for you specifically, like, are there any like major differences that you find from New York compared to San Francisco since being here?
uh I feel like, yeah, I've been thinking about this question a lot since I moved here, because a lot of people, like I have friends who are also like moving from New York to San Francisco, or like Bay Area, and then I've always like discussing the question about them, like about with them as well. I feel like it's kind of like hard to say, because it is really different, like the pace of life in New York is like really fast, and there's a lot of so many different industries that's in New York, that's kind of like it's like and there's so many like great artists who live there. I feel like SF definitely is much more like mellower in like in terms of the pace of life, and then just like the art scene here maybe seems a little smaller than New York, but I feel like it's not a bad thing for me. I feel it's like also kind of like for me to like explore a little bit more like artist art. It's like explore artists are doing in different area, or like different kind of like yeah, just get to know more people, or like know more like just like geographically like what they are doing, or like I think this part to be cut.
No, that's real. That's real. And another thing that I feel like about the Bay Area that's so different from New York, in my opinion, is the amount of green life that's here. There's a lot of nature here.
Yeah,
There's
for
a lot of
sure.
different opportunities just to explore that side, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and also I feel like a big thing for me is like I'm in a different life stage, because I was in New York and I went to the grad school there and do a graphic design in school visual art. So I was like kind of like really like that was my first time living in the United States. So I got to explore a lot of things in New York, and I did so many like there's so many great like resource that I can go to and just like kind of like get inspired, or like talking to people. Everything just feel really like fresh and like new to me. And then I think the reason that I moved to San Francisco is because of the work relocation, so that I am at a stage of like my life is a little more like focusing on my work, and or like focusing on my like just like making progress in life. So I feel like it's a different like mental status. Yeah. So
And how was that experience just being in New York, learning more about really becoming yourself? How was that experience for you?
yeah, I think it's like studying in New York. And I think I remember like my program in school visual art is like a really kind of like intense program, that we have so many different classes, and that there's like many great designers that was like part also the faculty in the program. So I got to just like it's just a really like a life-changing experience for me because I like it's just like everything that I'm learning is so new and there's so many information that I'm learning every day. And also like I spend a lot of time just kind of like exploring my style because I really wanted to, other than design, and I'm also really passionate about like drawing and making art or like the work that I got so many inspiration from, like the like kind of like the overall vibe in New York, just like really like just pushing me to like know myself or like just to like pushing me myself to find my voice in a way. Yeah.
And one of the things that I also really want to point out that is such like I feel like you do an immaculate job of it, and I really want to dive more deeper into this. Like you can tell with her work that there is like the process, and I emphasize that so much because you can tell like there's steps that you took to really like do each of the work that you do. And one of the things I'm curious about, I feel like everyone has like a different creative process when going about a project, when going about an assignment. But for you, what does your like process look like? Do you incorporate a lot of like different steps, or is the steps that you do is more simplistic? Like what is your process like?
Yeah, actually, I think my process is pretty straightforward. Like, I am really spending a lot of time like thinking about creating like the concept of the artwork or like what I'm trying to tell in this piece of canvas or like the paper. So it's like I will spend maybe I think half of the time of completing a work on the concepting part or like sketch. So I use iPad to sketch out my idea. Usually I will create like a bunch of, for example, like I will spend like a morning do just like sketches, be like if I can find something that's interesting to me or like my recent kind of like observation or like ideas, like I'm just like interesting to like capture them, to be like and find that like the right composition is really important for me. And then I will move on to kind of like refine the line work and then just have that sketch being like pinned down, like kind of like just like have the very refined sketch that is very precise. And then I'll transfer that to the paper. And actually the coloring part for the color pencil, I think it's pretty fast. Like I just like take maybe, because all the pencil work that I did is pretty in like a smaller scale, so it doesn't take too much time to finish that, maybe like 2-3 hours. So
Interesting.
yeah, so and then I will take that piece of paper to like scan it and then kind of like digitally like finance it a little bit like on the in the Photoshop. So that's pretty much my process. I feel like yeah, like definitely the concepting part and then the like sketch part is the most important in the process.
And with that process, are there any emotional traits that you like to incorporate within your work? Like I notice how with some graphic designers and some visual artists, they like incorporating a sense of different feelings. Like there's a lot of happiness, there's a lot of sadness, and there's a lot of like feeling for longing, you know? And I think what's so beautiful about graphic design and just different forms of visual art is those forms of like emotions. And I think there's like a beauty of sadness alongside a beauty of happiness. And so for you, one of the things that I'm curious about is like when you work on something, how important is the emotional trait of it?
I feel it's pretty like spontaneous for me, like because I feel I'm just recently come to a realization that when I'm most creative, I feel like I'm a little depressed. At that point, I feel like creating the drawing is a way of, for me, it's pretty like therapeutic. Like I will be like, if I'm feeling not very happy or like not very like cheerful, like kind of like low energy, I will be more leaning towards like creating something that I find interesting. I think it's a way for myself to just kind of like, it's like, I think drawing or like capturing that emotion onto the paper is like kind of like just like a natural way for me to just like putting it into my work. It's like I don't need. It's like I'm not thinking of like putting that emotion like capture like or like just like drawing what is happiness for me. But I think it's just like a very like it's a way just like it just happened on the paper.
And that's interesting because one of the things that I feel like has been prominent and something that is really like important is those different traits and how you like bottle them all up and you put them in a pot and you just mix it in and then you add that to your work. I think that's like really sick.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, and then within that, you're able to, of course, attend several different events. One of the things that really captured my eyes was the upper market event that you had in February. And then fast forward, you were able to attend other events. And one of the things I'm curious about on your end is how important for you is it just going to those events, displaying your artwork? How important is that for you?
Yeah, and I think I am doing those events kind of like recently because previously because I feel like I started doing my drawings during the pandemic. Like I started during the pandemic time. So at that time, I have a lot of audience that I met or like just kind of like have connected to is mostly digitally or online. Like, so I haven't do a lot of like I haven't done a lot of physical like events previously, but I think it's also because I moved here and then I got the chance to meet a lot of like artists in the Bay Area, and then that encouraged me to just like do more art shows or like there's a lot of like artists there just like love to kind of like meet each other or like there's a lot of like art like events. So the show is actually really cool. Like I got to kind of like create some pieces for the show as well. And then I was like exploring like more like oil painting as a medium to like other than the color pencil work. So yeah, it was really like I think I'm just getting to feel like that's more I feel more and more important to kind of like connect it with my audience, and they got to see like people's reaction to my work because some of the pieces that I didn't know that can kind of like some of the color palette like people reacted to, they're like, oh, this really like it's like resonate with like what they are feeling, or like sometimes it's like, oh, this is a really interesting composition. I just feel like it's really fun to hear what people think about those artworks, and then like be like, oh yeah, like actually like there's so many different aspects like different perspective that people are like looking at my artwork.
And I want to conclude it with this. Let's just say you have someone who is either a lot younger or someone who is trying to like really pursue the same works that you're doing, but they may be stumbling, they don't know how to get started, or is someone who is really trying to like find their own style. What would be some advice that you would have for them as far as like finding their footing, getting started?
I think it's very important to just like keep going, like because a lot of I feel like it's very important for me because I just when I started doing the color pencil drawing previously, sorry, like before I found my style, I was kind of like just like always. I was always wanting to kind of like explore my style or like find my own voice, and then I spent a lot of time just kind of like during that process. And I tried many styles and it didn't work very well, and I feel like kind of frustrated. But I feel like I feel like for me at least, it's like I just didn't give up, and then I was just like trying different tools or like just kind of look at different like what other like artists or illustrator or like designers are doing, and then just like keep trying, and then I think it's also very important that like when you are like, for example, if you're working on a drawing, I feel it's very important to finish it, because I know that I've like before I was like, oh, if it doesn't look good halfway, I was like, oh, I want to just like give up on this drawing, and then I just end up having a lot of like unfinished drawing, which I feel like that's not very good, because after actually when you are like in the middle of the drawing, like, and then like actually when you finish it, it might look really good, but just don't just like keep going. And then yeah, I think you will like whoever is like looking for like their style or like trying to do like illustration or like art, yeah, that's my advice.
Starting attacks and finishing attacks. The major
Yeah.
emphasis that go into all this. Jiayue, thank you so much for your time. I'm personally a fan of the work that you've been able to achieve, and I'm very excited to see how you elevate your work.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.